If you enjoy stories about unfaithful husbands, this channel is for you. Leave a like and support us by subscribing to the channel. I watched my husband Marcus from across the mahogany conference table, his eyes gleaming with an ambition I once found attractive. Now it just made my stomach turn. Gentlemen, this $10 billion acquisition of Clearwater Technologies isn't just a merger. It's destiny, Marcus announced to the room full of venture capitalists and board members. His company, Henderson Digital Solutions, had clawed its way up from nothing, or so everyone believed. I shifted in my seat, the diamond tennis bracelet hidden beneath my sleeve catching the light. Nobody in this room knew that bracelet cost more than Marcus's annual salary. Nobody knew about the investment portfolio I'd been building since before we met, the trust fund I'd kept secret, the commercial real estate empire operating quietly under my maiden name. 5 years ago, we were operating out of a cramped office in Brooklyn with 3 employees, Marcus continued, his voice swelling with pride. Today, we're positioned to dominate the entire East Coast market. Brooklyn. I remembered that office. I remembered writing the check that saved the company when his biggest client walked away. Marcus thought it was a bonus from my marketing coordinator job. He never questioned how a coordinator could produce $15,000 overnight. I'd planned to tell him everything after this deal closed. A grand revelation over champagne. Surprise, darling. Your wife is worth considerably more than you are. We'd laugh about my little deception, about how I wanted him to love me for me, not my money. My phone vibrated. A text from my secretary. Reminder, Dr. Patterson's office 2 p.m. tomorrow. Shall I confirm? I frowned. I hadn't made any doctor's appointment. Wrong number, I texted back, dismissing it. If only I'd paid attention. If only I'd known that tomorrow at 2 p.m., I'd walk into Dr. Patterson's obstetrics office and discover exactly who that appointment was really for. The next afternoon, I sat in my car outside Dr. Patterson's office on Madison Avenue, staring at my phone in confusion. My secretary had insisted the appointment confirmation came from this address, but I'd never been to an obstetrician in my life. Then I saw him. Marcus walked through the glass doors, his hand protectively placed on the lower back of a blonde woman, whose rounded belly was unmistakable even from across the parking lot. My heart stopped. She was glowing, radiant in that way pregnant women are supposed to glow. Her hand rested on her stomach, 5, maybe 6 months along. She laughed at something Marcus said, tilting her head back, and he kissed her forehead with a tenderness I hadn't seen from him in years. I couldn't breathe. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. They disappeared inside, and I sat frozen, my mind racing through calculations I didn't want to make. 6 months pregnant. That meant January. The medical conference in Chicago he'd attended alone, or maybe it was earlier. The team-building weekend in Vermont last November. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. When they emerged, Marcus was carrying a black-and-white sonogram photo, showing it to her with unmistakable pride. A father admiring his unborn child. Not our child. Their child. I fumbled for my phone and snapped a photo through the windshield, my hands shaking so violently I almost dropped it. Then another, and another. Marcus opened the passenger door of his Mercedes, the one I'd helped him lease, and the woman slid inside, her hand briefly touching his cheek in an intimate gesture that made bile rise in my throat. As they drove away, I finally saw her face clearly in profile. Caitlyn Morrison, his college girlfriend, the one he'd sworn meant nothing anymore, the one who was now 6 months pregnant with my husband's baby. I didn't go home. I went to my office, the real one, the executive suite on the 42nd floor of the Sterling building, where nobody knew me as Marcus Henderson's wife. I printed every photo, enlarged them, studied every detail until my eyes burned. Then I drove home and waited. Marcus arrived at 7:30, whistling, actually whistling. "Hey, babe," he called out, loosening his tie. "Sorry I'm late. Client meeting ran long." "Which client?" My voice was ice. He paused, finally looking at me. I was sitting in the dark living room, the printed photos spread across the coffee table like evidence at a crime scene. "Sarah." "What?" "Dr. Patterson's office," I interrupted, standing slowly. "Madison Avenue, 2 o'clock appointment. Ring any bells?" The color drained from his face. That's what I thought. I stepped closer, and he actually backed away. "How long, Marcus? How long have you been screwing Caitlyn Morrison?" It's complicated. She's 6 months pregnant." My voice cracked, fury overtaking the pain. 6 months? Were you ever going to tell me?" Or were you just going to let me find out when she showed up at our door with your bastard child? Don't call my baby that, he shouted back, and the admission hung in the air like poison. His baby. He'd said it. Claimed it. Get out, I whispered. Sarah, please, let me explain. Get out! I grabbed the nearest object, his stupid golf trophy from last year's corporate tournament, and hurled it past his head. It shattered against the wall. Get out of my house, get out of my life, and tell your pregnant whore she can have you. This is my house too. We'll see about that. I grabbed my phone. I'm calling my lawyer. You have until tomorrow morning to pack your shit and leave. I want a divorce. Marcus didn't leave. Instead, he called reinforcements. His mother arrived at 8 a.m. sharp, letting herself in with the key I'd stupidly allowed her to keep. Eleanor Henderson, the woman who'd never thought I was good enough for her precious son. You ungrateful little bitch, she spat, her designer handbag hitting the counter with a thud. Do you have any idea what you're throwing away? I looked up from my coffee, still in yesterday's clothes, eyes swollen from crying. Your son's the one who threw our marriage away. Take it up with him. Marcus made a mistake. A 6-month-long mistake that's currently gestating. Eleanor's face twisted with rage. Caitlyn comes from a good family. Old money. She's sophisticated, educated. And I'm what? The trashy gold digger who trapped your son? I laughed bitterly. That's rich, Eleanor. Really rich. You need to forgive him. The company needs stability right now. The titanium merger is at a critical stage. I don't give a damn about his merger. She moved faster than I expected for a woman in her 60s. Her palm cracked across my cheek, snapping my head sideways. You selfish child. Do you know how many families depend on Henderson Digital? How many employees will lose everything if this deal falls apart because of your drama? I touched my burning cheek, tasting blood where my teeth had cut my inner lip. Mom, stop. Marcus appeared in the doorway, still in his pajamas. For once, he actually looked horrified. This isn't helping. I'm trying to save your marriage and your company, Eleanor shrieked. I don't want to save the marriage, I said quietly, standing. I want out. I want a divorce. And I want it now. Marcus crossed the room, dropping to his knees in front of me. Sarah, please. I love you. I want to stay with you. We can work through this. You're having a baby with another woman. I know, but I choose you. 3 days later, Marcus's precious merger was about to become official. The Acme Group signing ceremony at the Plaza Hotel. Black tie, champagne, press coverage. The deal that would make Henderson Digital a household name. I wasn't supposed to attend. Marcus had made that clear after our situation became complicated. But I showed up anyway, with James Rothschild on my arm. The ballroom went silent when we walked in. James, tall, silver-haired, impeccably dressed, was the CEO of Rothschild Ventures, one of the most powerful investment firms in the country. He was also my mentor, my business partner in several ventures Marcus knew nothing about. And tonight, he was my date. Sarah? Marcus's voice cracked across the room. He stood frozen near the signing table, Caitlyn conspicuously absent. What are you doing here? Supporting local business, I said smoothly, accepting a champagne flute from a passing waiter. Isn't that what good corporate citizens do? Marcus's face turned purple. This is a private event. Actually, James interjected, his British accent cutting through the tension. Mrs. Henderson has every right to be here, as does any representative of Rothschild Ventures. The Acme Group executives exchanged worried glances. Their CEO, Richard Yamamoto, stepped forward. I'm sorry, is there a problem? No problem at all, I said, smiling sweetly at Marcus. Unless my husband has something he'd like to share with everyone, about why his wife might feel unwelcome at his company's biggest event. Marcus looked like he might have a stroke. Perhaps, Richard said slowly, we should postpone. Perhaps you should know, I continued, my voice carrying across the ballroom, that the man you're about to sign a $10 billion deal with is currently expecting a child with his mistress. Just thought transparency was important in business partnerships. The room erupted. Richard Yamamoto picked up the unsigned contract and tore it cleanly in half. Acme Group doesn't do business with liars, he said coldly. This deal is canceled. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Marcus called my phone 47 times that night. I blocked him after the 15th voicemail devolved into incoherent screaming about how I'd destroyed everything. Good. But the real chaos started the next morning when Acme Group released a statement that sent shockwaves through the industry. Due to unforeseen complications regarding leadership integrity at Henderson Digital Solutions, Acme Group is reopening the Titanium Technologies acquisition for competitive bidding. All qualified firms are invited to submit proposals. With one exception, Henderson Digital Solutions is permanently excluded from consideration. Marcus was finished. Blacklisted. His company's stock dropped 18% before trading was halted. But the confusion multiplied when Richard Yamamoto's assistant called my cell phone directly. "Mrs. Henderson, Mr. Yamamoto would like to schedule a meeting with your company's CEO regarding the titanium acquisition." I frowned. "I think you have the wrong number. I'm not Mitchell Global Investments, correct? We're aware of your portfolio. Mr. Yamamoto was quite impressed with your deputy CEO presentation at last year's Singapore conference." My blood ran cold. "Deputy CEO?" "Yes, ma'am. Though we understand there may have been some confusion about your actual title, our research suggests you're not the deputy. You're the actual CEO and founder. Is that correct?" Someone had done their homework. Deep homework. I'll need to call you back." I hung up, my hand shaking. Mitchell Global Investments was my company, the one I'd built in secret, the one worth considerably more than Marcus's entire operation. I'd used the deputy CEO title at conferences to stay under the radar, to keep my worlds separate. Somehow, Acme Group had connected the dots. They knew Sarah Henderson and Sarah Mitchell were the same person, and they wanted to do business with me, not Marcus. My phone rang again. "Marcus." This time, I answered. "You," he hissed. "This was you all along." I tried to move forward, tried to pretend the wreckage of my marriage didn't follow me everywhere like a shadow. My friend Jessica dragged me to a charity mixer 2 weeks after the Plaza disaster. "You need to get out," she insisted. "Stop hiding in your office. Show everyone you're fine." I wasn't fine, but I put on a black cocktail dress, fixed my makeup, and went. Marcus found me within 20 minutes. "Sarah, please." He appeared at my elbow, ignoring Jessica's warning glare. "We need to talk. We have nothing to discuss. My lawyer has everything. Just 5 minutes, please." His eyes were bloodshot, desperate. "You've misunderstood everything." I laughed harshly. "I misunderstood you getting another woman pregnant? Caitlyn and I, it's not what you think. The baby," he lowered his voice, glancing around at the curious onlookers. "The timeline was wrong. She was already pregnant when we reconnected. It's not mine. Stop lying." "I'm not." She came to me for help, for support. Her actual boyfriend abandoned her, and I was trying to be a friend. That's all. "I saw you at the doctor's office, Marcus. I saw how you looked at her, at that sonogram. Because I felt sorry for her." His voice rose, drawing more attention. "We dated years ago, yes, but this baby isn't mine. I can prove it. DNA test, medical records, whatever you need." "Then why were you there? Why the secret appointments, the lies about client meetings?" "Because I knew you'd react exactly like this." He grabbed my arm. "I knew you wouldn't understand, that you'd jump to conclusions. Let go of me. Sarah, I love you. I've only ever loved you. Whatever you think happened with Caitlyn, you're wrong. It was a misunderstanding." Jessica stepped between us. She said, "Let go." Marcus released me, running his hands through his hair. "The affair you think happened, it didn't. I swear on everything. I'm not a cheater. I'm just an idiot who tried to help an ex-girlfriend and made it look suspicious." I wanted to believe him. God, some pathetic part of me desperately wanted to believe him. "Prove it," I whispered. "DNA test, full disclosure, everything. Anything," he breathed. "I'll do anything to fix this." But as I walked away, leaving him standing alone in that crowded room, I realized something important. Even if the baby wasn't his, even if he was telling the truth, he'd still lied. He'd still hidden things. He'd still chosen to keep secrets instead of trusting me with the truth, and that betrayal cut just as deep. The Wellington Foundation charity dinner should have been my debut as Sarah Mitchell, CEO, a chance to step out of Marcus's shadow and into my own power. Instead, it became the night the last shred of doubt was obliterated. I arrived alone, wearing a simple black dress, no theatrics, just me, representing Mitchell Global Investments as a major donor. The whispers followed me through the ballroom. "That's Marcus Henderson's wife, the one who destroyed his deal. I heard she's actually loaded. Let them talk." I was networking with potential investors when I saw him across the room. Marcus, looking haggard in an ill-fitting tuxedo, clutching an envelope like it contained a death sentence. Our eyes met. He started toward me with the expression of a man walking to his execution. "Sarah," he reached me before I could escape. "We need to talk. Now. We have nothing. The DNA results came back." He thrust the envelope at me with shaking hands. "I need you to see this. Please." My hands trembled as I took it. Around us, conversations died as people sensed drama unfolding. I pulled out the lab report, scanning the medical jargon until I found the conclusion. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Marcus Henderson is confirmed as the biological father. The words crystallized into absolute clarity. His baby, his child. Scientific proof of his betrayal. "Sarah, please," Marcus's voice cracked. "Let me explain. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. Things were rough between us last year, and Caitlyn was there, and I was weak." "Stop." I held up my hand, my voice ice cold. "Don't you dare make excuses. It meant nothing. She means nothing to me. It was just a few times. Just moments of weakness I'll regret forever." "A few times?" I laughed, the sound sharp enough to cut glass. "Not one drunken mistake. Multiple conscious decisions to betray me. I was going to tell you." "When? After the baby was born? After you'd set up your second family?" I stepped closer, and he actually flinched. "You went to prenatal appointments, Marcus. You held that sonogram with pride. You were building a life with her while lying to my face every single day." The crowd around us had grown silent, every ear tuned to our conversation, phones raised, recording everything. "I love you," he whispered desperately. "I made a horrible mistake, but I love you. We can get past this." "No," the word came out calm, final. "We can't, because you didn't just sleep with another woman. You created a child with her, a permanent living reminder of your betrayal that will exist for the rest of our lives. Sarah, please. You let your mother slap me while defending your pregnant mistress." My voice never rose, never wavered. "You made me feel insane for not believing your lies. You stood in our home and swore on everything that the baby wasn't yours." Marcus's face crumpled. "I was ashamed. I was terrified of losing you. You already lost me the moment you touched her." I smoothed down my dress, suddenly aware of every camera pointed at us, every witness to this moment. "Good. Let them see. Everything I did to you, destroying your deal, taking your contract, ruining your reputation. You deserved every second of it." I held up the DNA report so the crowd could see. "And now everyone knows why." I turned to leave, then paused, looking back at him one last time. "That contract I signed with Acme? The $10 billion deal that should have been yours?" I smiled, cold and satisfied. "I'm donating half the first year's profits to women's shelters, for women whose husbands betray them. In your name, of course." His face went white. I walked out of that ballroom with my head high, leaving Marcus Henderson standing alone with the DNA evidence of his infidelity and a room full of witnesses to his destruction. I'd won, completely, devastatingly, righteously won, and I'd never felt more powerful in my life. I didn't go home after the charity dinner. I went to my office, the real one, the executive suite where Sarah Mitchell, CEO, was engraved on the door. The Titanium Technologies contract sat on my desk, signed and sealed. $10 billion. The deal Marcus had lost because he couldn't keep his pants zipped. My phone had been buzzing nonstop. 63 missed calls from Marcus. Text messages ranging from desperate apologies to angry accusations. I blocked his number and poured myself a scotch. The expensive kind, the $3,000 bottle I'd been saving for a special occasion. This qualified. My assistant knocked softly. "Ms. Mitchell, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent." "I'm not seeing anyone." "It's Caitlyn Morrison." I froze, the glass halfway to my lips. "Send her in." Caitlyn walked in looking exactly like she had outside Dr. Patterson's office. Pregnant, glowing, and now visibly terrified. Her hand rested protectively on her swollen belly. "Sarah, she started. "Sit down before you fall down." I gestured to the chair across from my desk, my voice flat. "What do you want?" She sat carefully. "I came to apologize." "How noble." "I know you hate me. Hate requires caring." I took a sip of scotch. "You're just a woman who made the same mistake I did, believing Marcus Henderson was worth something." Caitlyn's eyes widened. "I never meant for this to happen. We dated in college, broke up, moved on. Then last year we ran into each other at a conference in Chicago. I don't need the origin story of your affair. He told me his marriage was over." She continued, tears streaming down her face. "He said you'd grown apart, that he was going to ask for a divorce. When I got pregnant, he promised he'd leave you, that we'd be together. And instead, he lied to both of us." I laughed bitterly. At least we have that in common. He's been calling me nonstop since the DNA results, begging me not to ruin his chances of getting you back. She wiped her eyes. Like he has any chances left. Smart woman. I just wanted you to know. I'm moving to Seattle. My parents live there. I don't want his money. I don't want him in my life or my baby's life. I'm done being Marcus Henderson's dirty little secret. I studied her for a long moment. She was young, 28 maybe, pretty in that conventional way Marcus always liked, and now irrevocably tied to him through a child she'd raise alone. Good luck in Seattle, I said finally. And Caitlyn? Get a good lawyer. Make him pay child support. Don't let him off easy just because he's sorry. She nodded, standing to leave. At the door, she paused. For what it's worth, I saw the news coverage of the charity dinner. What you said about donating profits to women's shelters. A small smile crossed her face. That was perfect. After she left, I sat alone in my corner office, surrounded by everything I'd built in secret. Marcus had texted one final time before I blocked him. Please, Sarah, I love you. Don't throw away 7 years over one mistake. One mistake. As if infidelity was an accounting error. As if a child was a rounding issue. I deleted the message and opened my laptop. Time to make good on my promise. I drafted an email to my board proposing the charitable foundation, the Henderson Betrayal Fund, supporting women leaving unfaithful partners. Marcus's name would be attached to it forever. Every press release, every donation receipt, every news article. He wanted to rebuild his reputation. I'd make sure everyone knew exactly who Marcus Henderson really was. 3 months later, I stood at the head of the Mitchell Global Investments conference room, presenting our Q4 results to the board. The Titanium Technologies merger had exceeded all projections. Our stock had tripled. Forbes had just named me CEO of the year. The Henderson Betrayal Fund had raised $12 million in its first quarter, helping over 300 women leave toxic relationships. Marcus's name was on every donation receipt, just as promised. I should have been thrilled, and I was. After the meeting, my assistant brought me an envelope. Divorce decree, she said simply. Finalized this morning. I opened it. Everything I'd demanded. The house, full separation of assets. No alimony for him. Marcus had signed without contest. Attached was a handwritten note. Sarah, you won. Completely. I have nothing left. No company, no reputation, no wife. Even my child will grow up in Seattle knowing I'm the man who destroyed his mother's life and his father's. I deserve all of it. I just wanted you to know. I'm getting help, therapy, trying to figure out why I sabotaged the best thing that ever happened to me. Not for you. You made it clear we're done, and I respect that. For me. So maybe I don't destroy the next good thing in my life. I hope your success brings you everything you wanted. Marcus. I read it twice, then filed it away in my desk drawer. No response needed. No closure required. I'd said everything that mattered at the charity dinner, with cameras rolling and witnesses watching. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. Drinks tonight to celebrate the divorce? Or are you too busy being a Forbes cover girl? I smiled. Drinks. Definitely drinks. As I gathered my things to leave, I caught my reflection in the office window. Polished, powerful, successful. Sarah Mitchell, CEO. Net worth $340 million and climbing. No longer hiding. No longer pretending to be less than I was. And most importantly, no longer tied to a man who'd betrayed me. I'd spent 7 years hiding my wealth to test Marcus's love. He'd failed that test spectacularly by betraying me with a pregnant mistress. I'd destroyed him publicly, professionally, and personally. And I'd emerged from the wreckage stronger, wealthier, and more powerful than ever. Some women fantasize about forgiveness, about redemption, about salvaging broken marriages. I fantasized about the next board meeting, the next acquisition, the next triumph. Marcus Henderson was my past, a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. Mitchell Global Investments was my future, and that future was limitless. I locked my office door and headed to the elevator, my heels clicking confidently against the marble floor. Behind me, the city sprawled in the fading sunlight, full of possibilities, opportunities, and absolutely no room for men who couldn't keep their vows. I'd hidden my wealth to surprise him. He'd betrayed me with a pregnant mistress, and I'd made damn sure he regretted every second of it. Victory had never tasted sweeter. Thank you for watching until the end. Your support is very important. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.